Good morning. A few weeks ago, I spent an evening in Sakumono with some old friends. We sat on the balcony overlooking the sea and spent ages catching up. A woman came by carrying bread. In fact, we heard her before we saw her. Her loud cries of, "Yes, hot bread," could be heard a mile away. It made us all start craving for hot pan, so we called her over, only to find that the loaves were a day old, super stale, and by no means hot. You can guess how disappointed we were, especially my son Fifi, who could easily represent Ghana in the bread-eating Olympics. So we asked her, why the false advertising? And she said, loosely translated, that's just something we say. We don't mean it. Anyway, we sent her packing to deceive someone else, and one of my friends made the inevitable Ghana Fuzi Epedemazandodo comment. As usual, I started wondering about the truth in that statement. How many of us are engaged in false advertising? How many of us are not who we say we are? How many of us are not doing as we advertised? When you made your marriage vows, you said to have and to hold. So what has that got to do with beating your wife and cheating on your husband? And I thought you said you were born again. You only play gospel music in your car now. So when you're in traffic and that other car is asking permission to join your lane and you act like you haven't even seen them, you just close the gap between you and the car in front, is that what you meant by Christian? Is that what Jesus would do? And you, Mr. Madam Politician, when you were sworn in, you said you would well and truly serve the Republic of Ghana. So when you fill your V8 with petrol paid for by the people of Ghana and you leave the engine running with the air con and radio on all day while you're in a conference, is that how you're well and truly serving the Republic? How about you, Mr. Journalist? So when you took that envelope full of money and sat on the story, was that your way of illustrating that neutral and impartial reputation that you keep talking about? Now, I thought you said you were a doctor. Do you not understand that society depends on your skills and abilities? I thought you said you went into medicine to help people. So when you tell patients at the government hospital that you can't save them unless they buy their own surgical instruments and come to your private hospital for treatment, who exactly are you helping? Oh, and finally, have you guys read the presidential oath? It's online. Google it when you have time. And then ask yourself, just how much of that pledge do presidents live by in Ghana? So you see, whomever you say you are, whatever you do, you are fulfilling a purpose. You are playing a role in society, and whether you swore an oath or not, your role is clearly spelled out. Are you playing that role? Are you doing what you said you would do? Or was it just false advertising? My dear friend, today, let's resolve to realign who we are with what we do. Let's check the choices we make to see if they match the person we advertise ourselves to be. My name is Kojo Yankson, and I may have got it wrong in the past, but it matters that I get it right from now on. Good morning, Ghana.
Good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita CBD. Now, for a population of nearly 600,000, the Northeast region has only 6 police vehicles, one of which was recently involved in an accident that killed 1 police officer. Today in our series on security in electoral hotspot communities dubbed Safety for My Votes, we're in the region where Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia will be voting on December 7, a region which has recorded several armed robberies recently. Residents want the police services there resourced ahead of the elections. Correspondent Ilyas Lutanko has a story for today.
The Northeast region has had notable existing threats, from chieftaincy and ethnic clashes to armed robbery, which all point to proliferations of arms. Concerns are raised. This will make it difficult for security agencies here to contain situations that may arrive at the 60 identified electoral hotspots during and after the elections. For many, the phenomenon of politically connected people being left off the hook dampens the hope of violence-free election.
When they arrest somebody and it happens like political matters, people take politics into armed robbery. They could arrest one party member with a gun. Alajis and imams, they will go and talk on behalf of the man because they are having political decisions in it. So they will release the man. Even if they catch him with a gun, they will go and talk on behalf of the armed robber because that will just make silence. So at the end, they will leave the armed robber to go back to the house. It is not good.
There has not been notable recent political violence in the Northeast region, but in Wale alone, where Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be voting on December 7th, police has identified at least 30 electoral hotspots. Residents are worried about increasing activities of the gunmen as the elections approach.
We are just appealing because from Wale to Buge is also not safe. So we are just appealing to the municipal chief executive, the security council, the commander in the Wale municipal to just beef up the security because we are in the election year and the Christmas too is around the corner. Because when it's never getting to Christmas, the out-of-bed situation normally increases.
In Wale here for this time, we are now in the jungle, or we can't even understand this town for this time. Each time they are robbing, evening, morning, night, afternoon. At any time they can attack. And we have police station here. We have security personnel here. And how come and these things are all happening when we are having personnel, security services here?
Just recently that we are about to vote, then they came in that they are constructing the road. Halfway, they have stopped constructing. Even the armed robbers point, that is the particular place that we are encountering. They did not do anything there. They just find small gravel and sea sand that they are going to construct a bridge. And up to date, nothing has happened there.
Away from that, the Ghana Blind Union is advocating equal opportunity in accessing political campaign materials as the election draws closer. The group says under no circumstance should members miss out on the election campaign euphoria. There have been concerns political parties have not made their campaign materials accessible enough to people with various forms of impairments. Emmanuel Ose has more in this report.
Political parties distribute flyers, T-shirts, cards and other party paraphernalia during campaign seasons. But what happens to the visually impaired who cannot have a glimpse of the colorful party flyers and manifesto brochures? Leaders of various blind associations have expressed worry on the exemption on accessing such materials. George Martin and Alfred Tebiamponsa are leaders of the various Ghana Blind Unions.
Oh no, their manifestos are not embraced. Only NDC who made yes embrace. They should also know that we're also part and parcel of the country, and for that matter, whatever they do, they should also give us equal opportunity. So their manifesto should be in accessible formats, so we can also benefit. Yes, now, when we have been taking initiative to appeal to a lot of people, but the response is not encouraging.
And those with visual impairment, as me, you sometimes have to get the audio recording, so that I can read and hear whatever the politician is saying. If they are planning, they have to plan and sit with us. And if they have their manifesto, at times, not all the parties have it in Braille.
Their concerns were raised during a donation of white canes by the Calvary Charismatic Center to the union in Kumasi. Project's lead Ivan Fumado says close to 5,000 people in the region are visually impaired and have no white canes to aid their movement. A white cane allows its users to scan the environment for obstacles and is helpful for onlookers to identify the user as visually impaired. Mr. Fumado advised drivers and other road users to respect the white cane.
we would have been glad if we had gotten 4,700 canes to distribute to all of them, to make them empowered. And that would even make them more visible so that drivers and others who do not know that they are white canes, they'll start seeing them more and they'll be conversant with it. So if we can get advocacy out there, and then the roads and highways, urban roads, feeder roads can also help cover our drains. And then people can also move away from the streets that we are supposed to work on, the pedestrian walkways. It would also help very much.
Head pastor of CCC, Pastor Ranks Fodobin, who donated a white stick to the Ghana Blind Union, also advised individuals to handle handicapped persons with care and compassion. He also cautioned the general public on the need to maintain the peace the country enjoys.
Drivers, taxi drivers, motor riders, pedestrians, that anytime you see somebody with a white cane, it means that the person needs your assistance, need your help, need your respect. One of the things I want to tell all Ghanaians is that we are a peaceful, loving people. The legacy of peace God has given us is more precious than money, than our oil, than our gold.
I want the public to know that we're getting tired. That is a quote from Prosper Kobe, who's a frontline health worker at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. His frustration stems from increasing COVID-19 cases, which he blames on non-adherence to safety protocols by the public. Beryl Ernestina Richter visited the COVID-19 center at Kolebu Teaching Hospital and filed the following report.
The condition of COVID-19 patients on admission at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has become critical and needs specialized attention. Health workers at the treatment center brace themselves for the task ahead.
And this ambulance is ready to transport a critically ill COVID patient to the intensive care unit for proper management and care. The nurses and other health workers here at the COVID unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital are getting ready or packing everything that the patient will need when he or she is admitted at the intensive care unit.
Prosper Kobe is a senior public health nurse and a member of the COVID-19 case management at the Premier Health Facility.
We currently have 4, and out of the 4, 3 are currently on oxygen. 1 is not. And out of the 3, 1 is in critical condition. And so my colleagues are just preparing to take him to the medical intensive care unit for continuity of care.
He is worried about the increasing cases of COVID-19 cases at the treatment center.
In the last 2 weeks, we've realized that there is a surge in the number of COVID cases we recorded in the facility. This involves patients who are currently on admission and then relatives who are coming from home just to be screened. This is a treatment center. So all the cases we have here are already positive. You have to record a positive test to be brought here. So from the beginning of the week, we had 7 positive cases here.
Over the past few months, health experts have expressed concerns about the disregard for the COVID-19 safety protocols by the public. Many attribute the non-adherence to safety protocols to the current increase of cases. Senior public health nurse Prosper Kobe says health workers are under extreme pressure.
I want them to also note that the energy with which health workers started this fight is no more like that. We are getting tired. Some of us have not had our leave for the past 12 months. Currently, as we speak, I know 2 staff of the department who are currently self-isolating because they've tested positive. One even had a son contracting the disease because when we screened the family, the son tested positive. So yes, it's real. Some of our colleagues have been testing positive and some are still positive. But by the grace of God, we've not lost any life yet.
Dr. Dennis Tete is one of the medical officers at the intensive care unit of the treatment center. According to him, the unit currently has 2 patients on oxygen.
So currently we have 2 patients on admission, all on oxygen, fairly stable, doing well. So that's where we are now.
Before I leave, reservoirs ensure water is available, especially in times of dire need. The challenge, however, arises when users inadvertently leave the commodity to overflow and waste away, resulting in shortages at crucial moments. Now, a teaching assistant at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Technology is providing a solution by developing a water control and management system. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with the developer.
Abdullah Mohammed Zainuddin, an aerospace engineering graduate, is CEO of ABZ Automations. The tech startup seeks to eliminate manual repetitive tasks through the development of hardware and software solutions aimed at specific tasks. Their flagship product, known as the Auto X.
The Auto X, it is an automatic water control and management system. This product, it has two basic functions. One is to prevent your tank from overflowing when it's full, and the other is to automatically pump water into your tank when you run low on water. The inspiration behind this product is that once I was speaking with my auntie, and she recalled an ordeal that she went through. She stays at Kenyase and she works at town in Ketia. So she said once she turned on her pump and she forgot to turn it off, and she was in a hurry to go to town. She alighted from the car and she received a call from the neighbor that the tank is overflowing. So she had to take another car and return home just to do what? Turn off the water pump. So when she told me this, I felt really bad, the number of customers that she might have missed. So I said, okay, why not, from what I've learned at the university, the basic engineering, why not come up with something that would be able to do this simple act of turning on or off a switch? That is where I got my inspiration, and I teamed up with a couple of friends to come up with this product we call Auto X. So Auto X derives knowledge from electrical, electronics engineering, and mechanical engineering. So what it does is we have sensors that are installed on this tank, and their duty is to measure the level of the tank. So we have two predetermined levels. One is at the topmost level and one is almost mid of the tank. So what happens is when the water gets up to the top level that we've set, it sends a signal to a controller which is down there, and the controller would understand that the tank is full, so it will turn off the pump to prevent overflow. And then the other one, which is almost at the mid level, when the water gets below it, it sends a signal to the controller that, you know what, the tank is getting low on water, so you have to get us some water. So it will turn on the pump and it will fill the tank. So this process would reiterate itself.
So far, Abdullah has installed the product in many parts of the Ashanti region. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
That's it for the AM News. I'm Apito CBD.
Well, thank you for joining us on the AM show. It's time for the news review, and it's another brilliant morning. Mama V.
Yeah, hi, Ben. Good morning to you. We've got 18 more days to the December 7 polls. If you just joined the AM show, a very warm welcome to you. You missed the news, though, presented by Mapito CBD. But we're going to be digging into the newspaper, so you're right on time. Welcome to the review segment. I've got the Daily Graphic, the Business and Financial Times, the Daily Statesman, and the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper.
Well, for my end, the Daily Dispatch, beneficence, the Daily Dispatch, the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, and the Catalyst.
All right. So let me start with the Daily Graphic. On the front page, it says resignation of Special Prosecutor. Amido's claims disingenuous precedent or presidency affirms. And then Black Shield customers others to receive parts of locked up funds. This is interesting because they've been pushing for this, and in August this year, there was a press conference where they were calling on the Securities and Exchange Commission and the governments, but they had also taken the matter to court, and so SEC did not want to get into this, but yesterday there was a statement that was issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, which says it had taken, or the government had taken, a compassionate decision to partially bail out customers of the remaining defunct fund management companies whose firms are still undergoing liquidation processes, and that includes those of Black Shield. Black Shield used to be called the Gold Coast Fund Management, by the way. So there's more on that. Maybe we can, when we come back, digging into more of the stories, we can touch on it. But let's look at this. Government launches 100 billion Ghana cedis economic recovery blueprints. That's also in the paper today. If you go to the politics page, which is on page 17, it is Aveji or is it Aveji or Jamesi for Kitty North constituency? Very interesting, because these two gentlemen have been going at each other. This will be the 5th time that they are meeting, but it's an NDC stronghold. The only thing that I get from the breakdown in the paper is the fact that even though Mr. Aveji keeps winning, Kofi Jamesi has also been making some kind of progress. But listen, if you compare the numbers, it is still significantly low. But they seem to be put in the spotlight and saying something could happen. Well, good luck to both gentlemen. Let's check out what's in the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. NDPC launches annual reports. That's the National Development Planning Commission. Yesterday, it's launched its 2019 annual progress report in Accra. It's a 108 report titled An Agenda for Jobs, Creating Prosperity and Equal Opportunity for All, 2018 to 2021. It assessed the progress of implementation of the medium-term national development policy framework. And then portions of Pokwasi Obechebi-Lamte interchange projects completed. Also in the center spread, 15-member Narcotics Control Commission Board inaugurated. And on the back page, well, Benjamin, you reported heavily on this yesterday. Fire ravages Odorna pedestrian shopping mall again. Yeah, that's right, because in 2019 and in January, there was also fire. I remember that quite well. So, yeah.
You know, some of the interesting things, some of them have seen this happen. I think this is the largest scale, you know, that has gutted the market. Some have seen it on 5 occasions, 5 times, again, again, and again. And my heart broke yesterday when there was this woman. I've forgotten whether she was Patience or Florence, but she was back at her stall. Nothing could be redeemed.
The one who collected the coins? That's Florence. That's Auntie Florence. I remember that.
It just hit me like that's how bad it was. She had this earthenware pot and she was gathering them. I just looked at her and my heart broke. But why do we have to live like this?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's the same human activities, the gas cylinders. There was a portion, I don't know whether it showed yesterday, but we entered this stall close to the public washroom, around where it's supposed to have started. And when you go in a bit, we took a bit of a risk to take, you know, that footage, because guess what? There was still fire burning within the stall, and there were 3 gas cylinders in there.
Ooh.
So it could have exploded at any moment. And the point is, who knows what could have led to this fire? It could have been something else that triggered it, but with gas cylinders exploding and the rest, it only becomes a much bigger problem. Interestingly, though, some were also telling me that it's always a Wednesday that break out. And I was just asking, wow, there must be something about Wednesdays then.
Okay, so the fire service has been speaking in this report by the Daily Graphic, and they're calling on this is curious because what they've highlighted, and this is somebody saying we were not, so that's the National Fire Service, we were not called immediately the fire started, as they rather tried to fight it on their own until things got out of hand. But that's in sharp contrast to what some of the people said, that they wanted to, but the security person or persons did not allow them.
I was just about to mention that.
So
but I don't think it really goes against the story of the fire service in the sense that initially, instead of immediately calling the fire service, they were attempting to do something. And within that period, when they were struggling with the security
So I guess
people,
the back and forth with the security give us access.
They could have reached out to the fire service.
True.
So within that period, I mean, we can't play the blame game on this one. And if you listened to Divisional, I think, Officer Grade 2, Eric Smith, with whom I spoke yesterday, he spoke, though I pushed him to speak because it's the PRO who should have been speaking. And he indicated that, look, another misconception out there, when the tenders come, they may have, 3,000 liters of water and all of that. They expend that between 3 to 5 minutes. So people see that and they think, oh, the thing came empty. But whatever they have in there, within 5 minutes, it's gone.
Because that's also some of the things that they were saying, that they came in
and
there
within
was no
3
water,
minutes,
and then they had to go. But I also had a different explanation, and I think I've heard one of the officers say before, that if you have a full tank, you couldn't also travel at a certain speed to the destination. That's why they have the fire hydrants.
So it slows them down.
Closely, yes. So they could go empty sometimes because they know that they can easily have access to water.
And yesterday, I was actually looking around the scene for a hydrant. I didn't see any. I don't know whether they got any connections. Obviously, if they had to do 3 trips, I don't know whether they...
So there is a call. The fire service is asking all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to put in place safety measures and effective monitoring systems to curb the rampant fire outbreaks in markets across the country. They've also called on the MMDAs to ensure that access routes were created in the market so that personnel of the fire service could go in and out of the market freely to fight fires. And this reminds me, I went to the Ghana National Fire Service at Makola, and we went on a tour. So we had to cross. This is not too far from their main office. And the hydrants, you should see what the market women do where the hydrants are located. I mean, they've just blocked it, put a table on it, and they are selling.
That stretch of road is probably one of the busiest, one of the hubbub there. I don't think even if you wanted to, an emergency, you can't do anything in that.
No way.
And I feel another problem is the siting of the fire service, office or the HQ there in itself. Because when you use that stretch, you see that, I'm wondering, is it that it was placed there and then, market people took over? Or is it that because the location of it itself doesn't help? If you have an emergency, even around, let's say, around the law school, and you now have to meander through that, I mean, something could have happened before you were able to...
On the other hand, I am thinking that it's a best location because they are within the market space. The only thing is in the indiscipline, where people are selling everywhere. So it becomes difficult if they have to move their vehicle.
But, in Odorna, one of the issues that arose, yes, market scene, but even there are no entrances. Where they couldn't even get in. And that's another big problem. But the Daily Dispatch this morning saying, focus on Greater Accra, Ashanti and Central. They make up 47% of Ghanaian voters. That's on the back page. Hopefully, if there's time, I'll delve into that bit. Over 2,000 kids had COVID-19 in Ghana. That's on page 11. I'll just take a stab at that. And it says, a research work conducted by Child Rights International has revealed that a total of 2,180 children between the ages of 0 to 18 contracted COVID-19 in Ghana. And the nationwide data shows that from March 11 to November 9, 2020, out of 49,202 who contracted the virus, 2,180 children below 18 years had contracted the virus, representing 4.43% of the total contraction rate. And the majority, though, are girls, interestingly. I ask myself, though, if we're saying this, then the whole bit about the protocols and some children being exempt and, from testing and all of that, because some have said that, children have a higher immunity, if you like, to the virus, but looks like even less than 1-year-olds are getting it. An overview of Ambassador D.K. Osei's book, and then it says privileged conversations. Uncle Ben Efson, I call you uncle and all of that, but please, in privileged, there's no D. Just for your notice. Uncle Ben Efson, I know you watch me sometimes. Amidou speaks, Akufo-Addo answers. So that's it with the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
On COVID, America has a higher death toll and more coronavirus infections than any other country.
Should we clap for that?
They've got 250,000 COVID-19 deaths. I was just listening to the New York City where they're going to be closing down schools again.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's the highest in the world, actually. The highest in the entire world.
Absolutely. Let's do the Daily Statesman newspaper. Front page, budget report exposes Amidu over lack of resources. Government to support over 3,000 Odorna market fire victims. That's what we're just talking about. That's good, okay, in terms of the support. But if we don't fix the basic, the fundamentals, you know, when the fundamentals are
weak, well, the fire will...
The fire will expose you. So all I'm saying is, the Ghana National Fire Service is talking about access. We're just talking about the hydrants. We've got to fix these basic things. Otherwise, we will continue to make interventions and be supporting, and we will be coming back here. But we won't be counting 5.
Right.
Way more than that.
I have a little bit of interest in here. The Deputy Greater Accra Regional Minister, Madam Elizabeth, spoke, and I put some questions to her about these people who are taking loans and all of that. But I ask again, these things we do, I mean, whose taxpayers' money is going into that? Are we considering the fact that just as with those who have lost money in the banking and financial sector, who have had to grapple with these, when these things happen, do we have to come out this way? Whose money is going into this? How do we account for these resources? I'm only asking.
Benny.
Now, a lot of people said they had contracted loans, some as recently as 2 weeks ago. 30,000 cedis, 7,000 cedis, 10,000 cedis. You can't but let your heart go out to these people. But in the end, how long are we going to have this vicious cycle? I'm just thinking from both ends.
Benny, it's 3 weeks to the polls, remember?
Well, my whole point. Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper. DVLA grabs 2 awards for digital service delivery. Government authorizes partial payment to customers of collapsed fund management companies. Again, close to election day. How many days now? 18?
18, sir.
Right. No interference in your work. Office of President dismisses resigned OSP's allegation. Fire guts pedestrian mall in Accra. And check out this one. It's not a headline, but how to wear a non-medical fabric mask safely. If you use a fabric one, you should consider looking at that. Place NADMO under NDPC. That's according to the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe. And then pharmacists cautioned against dispensing unauthorized antibiotics.
Let me do my last paper, the Business and Financial Times. On the front page, successful implementation of AFTA could quicken economic recovery, says Dr. Addison, the governor of the Bank of Ghana. KIA unveils stricter measures to curb COVID-19 importations. So airlines to be fined $3,500 per passenger for non-compliance. Foreigners to be deported for non-compliance, among others. Government gives 1.4 billion Ghana cedis relief package to Gold Coast customers. Others await complete validation to settle the remainder. So that's a sharp U-turn from the position that SEC had taken not too long ago, because the matter is still very much in courts. Okay, Cocoa Board targets 300% increment in coffee production. That's what's on the front page of the Business and Financial Times.
So right before I wrap up with my stack of papers, a story I missed on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. Man stabs brother to death over pork. Yeah.
Is it the same story yesterday? Because there was a pork story, but except that they were friends, according to the story.
So it says a 20-year-old unemployed Yao Berima is alleged to have stabbed his younger brother to death over pork at Kenyase No. 2 in the Ahafo region.
Okay, what is interesting is same actors, same location, but this time it says younger brother. Yesterday in the paper that it appeared,
actually. Same scenario.
No, same, because same Berima.
It's the same person.
Same Berima.
Oh, wow.
Except that now they say younger brother, but yesterday was friends.
Oh, wow.
Well, who were no longer friends,
oh.
who had met at a joints.
Right.
And then, yeah.
Ah, well. The Daily Guide, Nana flattens Amidu claims blow by blow. Rawlings' death, a big blow to the NDC. And guess what? Kidnapper Samuel Udotuk Wales had a pastoral certificate. And those are some stories there. Government bails out fund investors. But talking about pastoring, did you see that bit yesterday? Some gentlemen from the fire, they brought out a Bible and they said, in a shop where kente and other, cloth is sold, everything burnt around the Bible, but the Bible, in fact, a circle around it. And that was something else that we captured, at least on the more curious side.
The Bible is a very powerful book, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Odorna incident. I've seen times where the Quran, too, has been involved and not got burnt. But my final one, the Catalyst says, 31 robbery cases recorded in less than 2 months. That is a big worry. Freddie Blaze's name pops up in attempt to defraud Gold Coast customers. I'm not the one saying it. The Catalyst is. Ghana Association of Writers crumbles under MPP's agenda. That's an interesting story I would rather not get into as a member of that organization. And then Amidou is a victim of Akufo-Addo's politics of deception. That's it with the Catalyst newspaper.
All right. Okay. So any story you want to dig in before we do matchonline.com?
Maybe one or two. So I did promise to do this one. On the back page of the Daily Dispatch, focus on Greater Accra, Ashanti and Central. They make up 47% of voters in Ghana. And according to this political desk report, as about 17 million Ghanaian voters prepare to cast their ballot in 17 days' time, attention is being focused on 3 regions, the Greater Accra region, Ashanti and Central regions. Now, these 3 make up over 47% of voters. Greater Accra and Central are 2 of the 3 political swing regions. The other is the Western region. Now, Ashanti is the main stronghold for the New Patriotic Party, but if the NDC is able to get 30% of valid votes counted, then the MPP will be in big political trouble. And according to the story, in order not to give everything out, in the run-up to the 2016 elections, Greater Accra had 191,371 voters, more than Ashanti. In 2020, the Greater Accra region has 495,949 voters, more than Ashanti. So you look at the dynamics and you see how interesting this cocktail of voters is turning out to be, and how, if you want to win, you might want to focus on the Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Central regions, not to, write off the Eastern and Western regions as well. And there was a story about the special prosecutor, but I think that one is... do you have a story?
No, I want to...
You want to go online?
Yes.
The story I saw about... So let's just take a stab at this on page 3 of the Daily Guide then, with regard to Nana flattening Amidou's claims. And we all know how it has emerged that the Office of the Special Prosecutor was adequately resourced by the government to enable it function efficiently and effectively, contrary to claims by the resigned Special Prosecutor. So the claims have been referred to as untenable, and the President has also described Mr. Amidou's claim that his decision to resign from the position was a result of government's interference in his work as baseless. In a statement issued on Tuesday evening, the Secretary to the President, Nana Bediatu Asante, said President Akufo-Addo had done no wrong and wondered why the SP went public with his resignation. But would have found out anyway. Well, that's it for me with the papers. I guess we're going to go online.
Yes, and when you do myjournline.com, you would see further breakdown of Martin Amidou's resignation, fallout, the government response, all of that on the page. But yesterday on PM Express, as the conversation was on corruption, there was Yawabeya Samoa and Sam George, and this is one of the many things that the communications director of the NPP and MP for Adenta said. Amidou had the authority to stop Akufo-Addo from interfering with his anti-corruption fights. And then there's a playback of the Joy News documentary. Joy News uncovers how an NLA contractor robbed the country of $10 million. There's also a response from the NLA that's also on our page. Martin Amidou used only 129 million Ghana cedis out of the 322 million Ghana cedis budgetary allocation made to his office. That's according to the Finance Ministry. Still on Martin Amidou, Amidou willingly submitted document to the presidency, says Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. Martin Amidou almost became a bootlicker. Sam George speaking on PM Express yesterday. Those calling Amidou incompetent want to salvage damage caused, according to Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Ibrahima. At his age, what did he fear? That's Professor Jampo questioning Amidou's claim of threats. Amidou was the man for the job until his ego got in the way, according to Occupy Ghana. So you see, Amide is still very much in the news. It's all about the former special prosecutor. All the angles covered on myjoyonline.com. You can take your time and explore. Ben?
Different shades of Martin Amide. It's interesting how each person is dissecting the matter, looking at him from a different angle. But maybe just briefly on the international front, this really got me interested. President Trump is showing off his power. He still refused to concede. He says, I won the election.
He's contesting, isn't he?
And, well, a lot of
he
them
has a right to.
Did you read what? I felt it was savage. There's this electoral expert. He's a lawyer at the Loyola University. And he was speaking recently, and he said, Trump's claims, whenever they go to any court, anywhere with someone who is robed, they throw out what he said, and they say, no, we do law here. And yeah, Granny, anyway, but this gentleman, I'm just looking for his name. So Chris Krebs, he's a senior Department of Homeland Security official, and he has contradicted the entire bit about fraud in the election, calling it baseless. Do you know Trump's
Is he not the one who's been kicked out?
You're fired. I'm sure if Trump had his way, he would have tweeted the firing message.
If you go to CNN, it says current and former Trump officials quietly reach out to Biden team.
No, because you can't do so officially. If Trump finds out, you're a goner.
Yeah. Okay, so we're done here. We'll leave you to explore the stories that we have on myjoyonline.com. You now know what's in the newspapers. You can get out there, go to the newsstands, and grab any of the papers. We'll make way for Orieko Ampofo. Are we still talking about the failed Black Stars? It's not like we've totally failed, but we're
still top of the group, and we can make it through.
We're still top of the group. Have we qualified or not?
We've not qualified yet. We could have drawn in. Now, Germany or Spain, Emma 6 as well.
I knew you would say that. Stay with us. Orieko has plenty in sports to share.
Let's come to the Ghana Premier League, where Accra Hearts of Oak has been cleared to begin their Premier League campaign after their players and staff were declared negative from COVID-19. The club's 2020-21 Ghana Premier League opener against Odorna Stars was called off by the Ghana Football Association in the last hour after reports emerged that some players and staff tested positive for the virus prior to the game. The club's Week 2 match against Ashanti Gold has also been rescheduled to Tuesday, November 24. However, Joy Sports can confirm that players and staff who tested positive for the COVID-19 have all tested negative for the virus. The Phobians thus have an opportunity of opening their campaign next week Tuesday against the former league champions at the Accra Sports Stadium. The Phobians must, however, get a COVID-19 certificate from the Ghana Health Service before they will be permitted to participate in the competition. Hearts of Oak last won the Ghana Premier League title in the 2008 and 2009 Premier League seasons. The Phobians have gone 11 years without a coveted trophy. The club's chief executive officer, Frederick Moore, is hoping to end the club's drought. Hearts of Oak's fixture against Odorna Stars for the opening week will be rescheduled by the Ghana Football Association. Still on Hearts of Oak, and their CEO, Frederick Moore, says that the Pobiman Academy project completion date could be extended due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, according to him, the Turkish construction engaged for phase 2 of the project, which is yet to arrive due to the virus. My colleague Benaya Elom has the rest of the story.
The Pobiman project is a priority for the leadership of Accra Hearts of Oak. Earlier this year, the club engaged a local construction company, KA Estates Construction Limited, to work on the first phase of the project, of which completion was expected to end in October. Chief Executive Officer Frederick Moore had told Joy Sports the contractor was ahead of the schedule. The Pobiman project manager, Togbe Drake IV, said a Turkish construction company, Prefabex Yabi, was expected to take over for phase 2 of the project to its entirety in October and had 4 months in agreement with the club.
We have a mutual agreement for them to complete their work in about 4 months when they touch ground. Right. When they touch ground here and start installing, the installation could probably take them about 4 months. Yes, so we're looking at the local contractor completing his work around 1st of October, as I did make mention of. It's also very possible the Turkish would get in before by the time they are packing out, and then they will have to work hand in hand.
However, it appears the expected deadline for the completion of the project is unclear. As CEO Frederick Moore tells Joy Sports, the arrival of the contractor has been delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which could ultimately extend the completion date.
Well, and he completed his work on schedule, and I think a little bit ahead of schedule. What we didn't anticipate was that Turkey was going to have a longer lockdown than we did. So the Turkish arrival has delayed a little bit, and therefore everything would delay. But all along, we wanted to be in by December, latest January. We are still in constant touch with the Turkish company, and as soon as we know when they are arriving, you'll be the first to know.
The Pobiman Academy is an ultra-modern sporting facility that houses training centers, swimming pools, residence for staff, and many others.
Let's do some boxing now, where Ghana boxing referee Roger Bano has been training ring officials at an international course in Dubai. My colleague Nathaniel Atto has been following his exploits and found this report.
Ghana may not have a reigning boxing world champion, but at least an official is bringing great pride with his exploits internationally in recent times. Referee Roger Bano, who holds badges with all the world's major sanctioning bodies, has been the main trainer at an international course for ring officials put together by the Ringside Gym Global of Dubai in collaboration with the World Africa Boxing Association, and this event is happening in Dubai. Bano took the officials of various nationalities through specific areas under this basic level course, which will be followed by a standard course and an advanced one in April and November of next year. The highly subscribed course is certified by the US-based Association of Professional Boxing, Commission of Boxing Associations (COFBA), and Boxers Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Union. A report by Tanzanian journalist Marunda Kitaru rates referee Bano to have delivered perhaps one of the best training seminars in recent times. Referee Bano has officiated bouts in destinations including the UK, France, South Africa, Nigeria, Togo, Namibia, and his homeland Ghana.
That's how we'll be wrapping up the sport here. My name is Oreko. And before we bring you more sports news throughout our subsequent bulletins, and you can also follow us on social media at Joy Sports GH. The AM show continues right after this.
We've got 18 days to the December 7 polls. Welcome to our conversation where we've got the Electoral Commission here in studio so that you can interact with the Commission. Director Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kweko, is here to take all your questions. What's on your hearts as we approach the December 7 polls? Doc, good morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning, my sister. And the grace is good for me. I hope sufficient for you too.
It is. His grace is always sufficient. So I wanted us to start from something that you've recently said, that we will get the results by December 8th. We'll vote on December 7. Results will come in by December 8th.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
That is in everything that you want to achieve in this life, you set a plan and prepare for it. So that is the target we have set for ourselves. And we've tasked all our officials to work towards it. So we are expecting that before we go to bed on the 7th, the districts and constituencies should have completed their work. And when that is done, by mid the 8th of December, the information should be hitting the head office. And one thing that we have introduced for the 2020 election
which is captured in CI 127, is that we also do regional collation. So instead of head office doing collation of 275 results, we would do 16 results. So the regions will do their collation, and the region will bring the 16 results. So regional head office will collate 16 results. So all things being equal, we are hoping that before we go to bed on the 8th of December, we will come out with the presidential results.
Okay.
After parliamentary, they are declared at the constituency levels.
So what kind of transmission system are we using?
We will use the manual transmission. The police stations will submit the results to the constituency. The constituency will send the results to the region, and the region will fax the results to us.
So unlike the 2016 elections, where I thought we used the two.
No, we use only the manual.
Okay. But I know that there are some remote areas where getting even materials there takes days. So how do we intend getting the results that quickly if we're using manual?
In the constituencies, they either use motorbikes, they use boats or canoes, they use abuboya, whatever. So each district has his or her own, officer has his own plan. You will know the terrain, what will you need to help you achieve that target. So they are submitted their requests in terms of logistics, and we are working on that.
Okay. One more thing, the ballot paper, we've got 12 candidates.
Yes.
We've never had it like this before.
Yes.
So how short or long would it be so that to ensure that there's enough space and somebody's print doesn't get into the wrong box?
This ballot paper is the most well-thought, planned one. In between the candidates, you have huge thick lines so that no matter how your hand will be shaken, you will not stray into the next center. The only difference is that to be a bit taller than what we are used to. And I believe we will be able to reduce the problem of rejected ballots. But we should also bear in mind that we shouldn't attribute all rejected ballots to ignorance. Some are from a form of protest. Some too have taken from 2 or 3 candidates, taken oath or had sworn to something. And once I've taken from 2 or 3 candidates, I have to give my vote so that I'm not caught by the gods. So some of them are not because they are ignorant. Some other they are protesting. Other they have taken something and they will have to satisfy all of them, or they come for the other one is maybe ignorance.
So what constitutes a rejected ballot?
A rejected ballot is the ballot which you say that you cannot assign it to a particular candidate. One of it will be that it doesn't bear the marks of the commission, which may mean that somebody smuggled it from somewhere. One of it is that the person did not make a choice at all. He took the ballot paper and just put it in the ballot box. The other one will be that the person competed for more than one candidate. Another point is that the person has put it at the borderline. So you cannot say it is for candidate A or candidate B. So these are the reasons why we reject. And another one is that you are not supposed to be identified with your ballot paper. So if you go and thumbprint and write Sribo or Kwiku on it, it should also be rejected.
Okay. Now, if the thumbprint is not fully in one box, it drifts a little, are you still going to declare that vote belongs to the party that had more of the prints?
It depends on how it is. And it depends on who's declaring the results. Because these things are between the Electoral Commission and the agents. So if it is put such a way that clearly you cannot identify the choice, the officer may have his or her view, but the candidates may disagree with him or her. So when it happens like that, the officer may say that I have rejected it, But the candidate, the agent will say, no, we are also protesting.
Okay.
It will be sent to the constituent office for the return officer to take the final decision.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about rejected ballots. How about spoiled ballots?
A spoiled ballot does not enter the ballot box. When you are given the ballot paper, maybe it fell from your hands and it got soiled. So that if you are to thumbprint, you may be able to differentiate the thumbprint from the soiled. It's your responsibility to send it back to the ballot issuer. He will root 2 lines across that and write spoiled. It has not entered the ballot box. Or in the course of detaching it, it was not well detached, so it has cut into the ballot. It will also be declared spoiled. You also go to the spot. You make your choice. But you realize, I had wanted to vote for party A, but I voted for party B. You go back to the ballot issuer, tell the ballot issuer that I made a mistake.
Okay.
You take the ballot paper, write on the spoiled, and you be given a new ballot paper.
So even though I have voted for a certain party or candidate, I realized that I made the wrong choice.
Yes.
I have not put it in the ballot box
Correct.
yet. I can go back to the officer.
Correct.
How often can I do that?
Oh, once. You shouldn't be a perpetual spoiler. So you did it once, you come again, nobody will. People think that you're just wasting time. So you have only one chance to do that.
Okay, great. So this conversation is for all of us. So kindly give us a call if you've got questions that you want the Electoral Commission to clarify. Number to call is 0302-211-69-102, 0302-211-69-102. My guest is Dr. Sribo Kweko. He's Director, Electoral Services with the Electoral Commission. So, Dr. Kweko, where are we with 18 days to the polls in terms of our plan towards December 7? Where are we?
God has been very good to us. As I speak to you, 2 weeks ago we gave the registers to the political parties. And as we have not heard from them, then I believe that they are in good shape. That's why they have not complained. We have also printed the registers, and almost all of them are gone to the regions now. We have uploaded the data onto the BVDs. They are also being sent to the regions. All these things are kept with the police headquarters, the regional headquarters, so that nobody can go and steal or whatever. The ballot papers are also being sent to, I cannot be so specific, but I know about half of them are gone.
So are we done with the printing?
We are done with them, and we have even
started, both parliamentary presidential.
Exactly, and we have started, like I said, dispatching them. So we started dispatching, I think, Monday. So as at now, I couldn't check on them yesterday, but I believe more than half of the regions have gotten them.
Okay. Yes. Let's listen to Kweko, who's calling from cantonments, and then we'll come back to you. Good morning, Kweko. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
My greetings to you at the studio. And my question is, it has been circulating around that 30,000 people have been expunged. Their names have been expunged from the register. What would be the reason for this action?
Okay. All right, Kweko. Thank you very much. Very important questions. Let's speak to Abdul. Abdul is in Tamale. Good morning, Abdul. Hello, Abdul.
Hello?
Yes, Abdul, you're on air.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead. We've got the Electoral Commission here.
Please, I want to ask Dr. Silva, or maybe, I don't know whether it's a question or just advice.
Okay, let's hear it.
That we want to know whether how serious would they put their eye in this to us. Looking at this year, how the candidates are higher than the previous year.
Hello. So, Abdul, so you want to ask what exactly? Hello, Abdul. I'm afraid we lost you there, Abdul. Kindly give us a call back. Daniel is in Jamasi. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. Go ahead with your comments, question.
Yeah, I want to ask the commissioner. I was official during the assembly election. And since then, our distance has not been paid.
I want to ask them, when are they paying the assembly election? When are they paying it? At one point,
when you say your disting has not been paid, what disting is that?
Hello?
The other ones.
Daniel.
Hello?
So, Daniel, you took part in the district assembly elections. You worked for the Electoral Commission, and they haven't paid you your allowance, right?
Yes.
Okay, which area?
Hello?
Hello, Daniel. Oh, so, but Dr. You got it. Okay, all right, you. Thank you, Daniel. We'll get you some answers. John Jerry is in Accra. Hello, John Jerry. Hello? Okay, apologies there. Looks like we have some issues with the lines, but keep trying. So, Dr. Kweku, let's talk about Kweku. Kweku is raising the issue of the 30,000 that you've expunged from.
We have not expunged, but we have quarantined them.
Quarantine?
Yes.
What's the difference?
If you expunge, mean that you are not in the register at all. But quarantine means that you are there, but you are inactive. So you can vote. And there are two...
So you can vote, is that what
you can't vote?
You can't vote, okay.
There are two categories. We have what we call the exceptions list. Now, when we compile the register, in the course of the compilation, some people's registration were challenged. Other, they on the grounds that they were not 18 years. They were not resident of the places they were claiming to be residing, or they were not Ghanaians. So when you are challenged, you complete the registration, but your ID card is not given to you. And you will be asked to appear before a committee. The committee is made up of the Electoral Commission district officer, who happens to be the secretary. Then the district police commander is a member. District Director of Education is a member. One traditional ruler, and representatives from the various political parties. And the law says that in the course of their functioning, they have the same powers as the district court. So they can subpoena people to come and witness and whatever. So when the challenger and the challengee, or the challenged, appear before the committee, each person will tell his or her story. Then the committee will come out with a verdict. So if the committee clears you that you qualify to register, your ID card is given you. If the committee affirms the challenge, means that you will not be eligible to vote, so your ID card will not be given to you. The law goes further to say that any of the two persons who is aggrieved about it can appeal to the Chief Registration Review Officer, who happens to be a High Court judge appointed by the Chief Justice to handle that. So if you appear before the Chief Justice, if you appeal, and he also uphold the decision of the committee, you are disqualified. If he overturns the result, you are given a card. These people have been put on exceptions list.
Okay.
And their names appear during the exhibition time on the exceptions list. And there too, the law says that you can go and also object your name on the exceptions list during the exhibition. And when you do that, you appear before the state magistrate, who also, district court, who also adjudicate on it and also take a decision.
Okay.
So if your name is on the exceptions list, which is about 14,000 now, that means that you were not successful in challenging your disqualification.
Okay.
Or in the course of the doing exhibition, somebody submitted document to prove that the person has passed on after the registration. So these categories of people, these names and people who were challenged are the people who are under exception. Okay. They are about 14,000.
I have lots of follow-up questions on this. So, okay. But we have Inusa and Razak.
I was going to talk about the other side.
Yes, we'll come back and continue this. Inusa is calling from Kotobabi. Good morning, Inusa.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, Inusa, thank you for holding. Let's hear you. Inusa, you're on air. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Is this Inusa?
No, please, this is Razak.
Okay, Razak from Bole. Go ahead.
Please, I have two questions for the commissioner. I don't know, the names that are affected, the 30,000 names. Please, how will we know those that are affected? Because we do not see the list posted anywhere. And should in case I go to the poll and my name is, no, I can't vote. You see, it will be a problem between I and then those people there. And my next question to you is, those that they are claiming that they did not register at the area that they are coming from, or they do not know that if they are Ghanaians. Because I learned one of their laws was there's no cars to bounce people to any constituency to register. And since people could not go to their constituency to register, how will his workers, the officials there, get to know the citizens of that area?
Okay.
Please, I'll be happy if you clarify this one for me.
All right, Razak, thank you very much. Let's speak to Bismarck. Bismarck is in Tamale. Hello, Bismarck.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Well, I'm enjoying your show.
Thank you.
I want to find out. I'm a presiding officer.
Okay.
If at the polls a blind person comes to vote and the blind person doesn't, he cannot see who to vote. What do I do at that time? But the person wants to vote. What should I do?
Okay, so you're asking if there is a blind person and the person is asking for your help because they don't know who to vote for.
Yes.
Okay.
No, the person knows who to vote for, but yet the person cannot see.
Okay.
The candidate to vote for.
Okay. All right, great. Good question. Thank you very much. Dr. Shriboko, shall we start from there and then we'll come back to the list?
So the blind one?
Yes.
There are three ways for the blind person, visually impaired, to vote. The first thing is that we have taken them through the use of tactile jacket. Tactile jacket is a folder which opens with some knobs which serves as a braille. So when they are given the ballot paper, they will use the holes on the jacket to decide, because for each hole there will be corresponding knobs. So if the person is number 1, there will be 1 knob. If the person is number 2, 2 knobs, up to the 12 knobs. So you fill the knobs up points, then you trace it to the hole and something that you have voted for the candidate.
Okay, but this person is a presiding officer.
That's what I'm saying. So there are 3 ways that the visually impaired will vote. That's number 1. The number 2 is that the visually impaired person can come to the polling station with a trusted person who should be at least 18 years, so that the person will cast the vote on behalf of the visually impaired. So the first one is to use the tactile jacket. If that one fails, he comes to a trusted person, but the person should be a Ghanaian at least 18 years. Then if that one fails, then he falls on the presiding officer.
Okay. I know you do education. I'm wondering why a presiding officer at this point doesn't know that there are 3 different ways.
No, he's asking a question. So if I'm a presiding officer, it doesn't mean he's a presiding officer.
Oh, okay. So I thought
apart from that, if you have not finished training them, you have not finished training the presiding officer.
You're still training them?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So shall we tackle Daniel's allowance issue?
With respect to Achumamponua incident, that's my district. What happened was that when you recruit them, they finish the training, they go into our system to key in the information about the vote, about the officials. But here is the case, unfortunately, the details were not captured, meaning that they did not enter the details. So it was when, in the course of the payment, that came up, and we have finished working on that, and hopefully within the week or 2 they should be paid.
So this is just an exception?
It's up to do. That's the best of my knowledge.
Okay. It's not because you don't have money?
I'm aware. Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm aware that case is there. So I've been working, and so that's where I come from.
So when would they get their money then?
Oh, we have finished all the arrangements, but bureaucracy. Because we have to be audited and also, but we have even almost finished everything, so probably in the next 1 week they should be paid.
All right, let's hear from Bismarck. Bismarck is my very last caller. Hello? Hello, Bismarck? Bismarck? Okay, we lost you. Okay, so Dr. Kwaku, let's go back to the issue of the exceptions and the multiple. We've dealt with the exceptions.
So after filling that, so anybody who is on exceptions knows that he was challenged and doesn't have a card. So it's not.
So if you were challenged
and you were not able to overturn the challenge, mean that you are.
So what if you didn't go through the process at all? You were challenged, but you didn't follow through.
Then you have not overturned the challenge. So you don't have an ID card.
So so that's 14,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you have the 16,000 people who have been put on multiple lists. And the 16,000, let me explain. If I registered at 4 different polling stations, I'll be seen as 4, but it's the same Kwaku. Because the system will pick you here that you have done multiple registration, here you have done multiple registration, here you have done. So it's the same one person, but the person will appear 4 times. Then these are the people who have done more than 1 registration. So they are holding more than 1 card. And that one, if you are involved, you know. If you take the 220, the result that we have just disposed of, we did 6 different times of registration. and some people did 6 registration. So some people are perpetual registrants. You may say they were going to do registration, they are there. They don't care whether they have done it. So this time again, we did 18-day registration. So some did more than 1 registration. And when we did a continuous one on the 1st and the 2nd of October, some of them went again. So the system, the system is not networked. So you can register at Joy, go and register at Asempa, go and register at Adum. You get the cards. But when the system is uploaded onto the database, the system will use the biometrics to detect you. It will put you on the multiple list. These multiple lists, they said, were sent to the centers during the exhibition. So then if you went there, you would have identified your name. And the law allows you to challenge your name on the multiple list if you think you don't have to be there. Or there was a genuine error. Some people went there and they were able to overturn. On the day of voting, there will be the main register. There will be this multiple list again there. And in the multiple list, when you open, you will see your name, maybe at Joy FM, the date and time that you registered with your fingerprint and the picture. Then you go to so on your records, you see the different times that you registered, the type of clothing you wore, the name, the particular you give that maybe you were here, you will say you were residing at this place, your father's name was this, your mother's name was, all these things will be there for you. So you can't argue about it.
Okay. So this lists of the multiple registrants. I know that previously some persons have gone to court for that. But what typically, I don't know whether to say typically or in some instances what the court will do. Okay. If you say you're guilty, they probably will caution you and then they will ask you to choose out of the places that you've registered.
No, if you go to court, the court will give you a penalty because somebody took you there. But if you went and challenge your name on the multiple list, that's where the judge will decide, looking at what you came, because you went there voluntarily. So the judge will listen to you and maybe out of ignorance or whatever, then the judge will give a judgment. But if you did not go, then your name will continue to be there. So either you went and the judge upheld the decision against you, but if you went and the judge overturned it, you have been removed from the multiple list, so you are now in the main register. So anybody whose name is on the multiple list knows that. And if you go there, the list will be there on the day of election, so that you see. And you have not deleted them, but we have quarantined them because they are still in the system.
Is it too late to challenge?
It's too late, because now we have already put the register and the rest. You can only challenge during exhibition time.
Okay. So because I know that sometimes with the reasons that some people give in court, some will say, oh, I registered, but I didn't get the card, so I went to another place to register.
It is still an offense. And to interest you to know that some people have been imprisoned and some are still going to court. And I remember 24 people, they came together, collected their ID cards and said they were misled. So they want us to take the card and remove them from the registers. And we have done that.
Oh, okay.
They were 24.
Okay. Let's go off special voting. When is that happening?
Special voting will take place on the 1st of December. And it's open to election officials, the media persons or media practitioners, and the security services, those who applied and they were successfully put on the special voters list. Okay.
Specific centers where they're voting?
Most cases, each constituency has a center. And they are mostly the district police command.
Okay. Those who transferred their votes, I guess do we have two categories? The students who were on campus when you did register them. Are you through with transferring their votes?
We did a transfer between 20th and 26th of October. The law says that not less than 42 days. So technically, you have to have registered more than 12 months before you can apply for transfer. But the CI 127 made exceptions to the students and the security persons who were on duty. So this is only due to the category of people who were qualified under the current dispensation to apply for transfer. So if we did that, then we have completed those data. And it's that when you apply, you are successful, you are put on absent voters list on where you registered and put on the new register at where you want to vote. Again, if you apply for special voting and your name was captured, you have been put on absent voters list for 7th December, so that you no go on you no vote on 1st December and go and vote on the 7th December. So let me use their platform to tell people who have been put on special voting that if you do not vote on the 1st of December, count yourself out, because immediately you are put on the special voting, you are put on absent voting, so that you cannot vote on the 1st December and go and vote on the 7th December.
Okay.
So once your name is captured for special voting, please and please and please go and vote, else you can't vote on 7th December.
How many people are in that special category?
Special voting, we have 109,552 on the special voters list.
Okay.
For these three categories, electoral officials, they are very few because we had not completed our recruitment. So most of them are the executive people and followed by the media.
Okay.
109,522. 552, so.
Okay. How many proxy voters?
As for proxy, I don't have it offhand.
Okay.
But proxies are normally, I think they're 200 and something. People don't patronize the proxy. There are few people.
Okay. All right. Dr. Asrebo, with just 18 days, I know that we'll have some other conversations before the D-Day. But for today, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Is there a last IPAC meeting today?
Yes, we are meeting today.
This is the last time you're meeting the political parties?
Emergency meetings can happen. So for now, formally, today should be the last day. But some other issues can crop up that we can call for.
Okay. What's the agenda?
Oh, the agenda is about our preparation so far to the registration. So anything, printing of the register, we are going to demonstrate to them the use of the workings of the BVDs and the special, anything that has to do with the preparation so far.
Okay. All right. Dr. Kweku, thank you so much for your time. That's Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. Coming up next, a joint news investigation has uncovered the nation lost over $10 million in the procurement of points of sale devices for the National Lottery Authority, the NLA. Our team gathered evidence that the contract for the supply of 30,000 POS devices for the NLA could have cost less than half of the $25 million spent.
I've said it and I'll repeat it again. Those who are coming to this administration thinking that it's an avenue for making a lot of money are going to be disappointed. They better go to the private sector. That is where people make money, not in government.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on September 14th was also reported to have warned chief executive officers and board chairmen of state-owned enterprises that he would not hesitate to sack them if they violate the rules governing their work. He said, quote, "I want to reiterate to you all that I'm not ready to shield anyone who commits any infraction in the discharge of his or her duty. I will not protect anyone, and I will not hesitate to sack the person once the process finds him or her culpable." In November 2017, Director General of the National Lotteries Authority, Mr. Osei-Ameyaw, awarded 11 contracts to a company owned by his sister-in-law, Rama Hassan. This was faulted as a clear case of conflict of interest. But Mr. Kofi Osei-Ameyaw, the Director General of the National Lotteries Authority, justified his actions by insisting that his sister-in-law could not be prevented from doing business with the NLA because of his position.
You know, I heard about the distance for Christmas. I applied for it. I went through all the process and I was given. So I gave them my prices. I went around the city, looked for warehouses, got them my prices, and then some other people did, and then there's nothing showing that because I'm Rama or I'm this, and I got the contractor instead. To me, to the best of my knowledge, that was it.
Now, the Osei Ameyao-led NLA has been cited for allegedly inflating the prices of point-of-sale devices procured for use in the lottery business by more than $10 million. After his appointment in early 2017, the Director General, together with the board, decided to expand the operations of the NLA and create jobs by increasing the number of people selling lotteries. A decision was taken to procure additional point-of-sale devices to realize these goals. According to documents available to Joy News, the board agreed to procure an additional 10,000 POS terminals. A Chinese POS terminal distributor, Nesgo N5, was identified as a possible candidate for the purpose of achieving the objectives of the NLA. Subsequently, the authorities signed an MOU with the Chinese manufacturers of the Nesgo N5 POS terminal on October 25, 2017. The commercial manager of the Chinese company, Claude Tan, made a presentation on the product to the board of the NLA on 17 April 2018. It was decided after this presentation that a delegation from the NLA should visit the company in China for the purposes of conducting due diligence and assessing the capacity of the company to produce the devices to specification. The delegation arrived in China on Monday, 25 June 2018 and met with officials of the Shenzhen Zingguodu Technology Limited, the manufacturers of Nesgo N5, the POS terminal the NLA was interested in. It was a 7-member delegation. The Director General himself could not go because of a presidential ban on travels by government officials. The team returned to Ghana and submitted a report stating, among others, that the Nesgo N5 had never been used for lottery anywhere in the world. Barely 3 months after the team arrived in Ghana, Mr. Osei Ameyao wrote a letter to the Public Procurement Authority (PPA) on 25 October 2018 asking permission to use single-source procurement method to procure 30,000 Nesgo N5 smart point-of-sale terminals for the NLA. He wanted the endorsement of the PPA to use the narrow window of single sourcing to choose Chinese firm Shenzhen Zingguodu Technology Limited through the appointed agent in Ghana, Techstart Africa Limited, to supply the items. The Public Procurement Act 663, as amended in Section 40, lays out 6 conditions under which sole sourcing can be done with the approval of the board of the PPA. The Council Chair of the Institute of Procurement and Supply, Basil Ahiable, explains.
There are very clear guidelines as to what you need to be in, or the conditions that would precipitate a single source. Under Section 40, the conditions that would require single source. 1, when the item is a proprietary item, we want to buy this equipment and it is only manufactured by company A. There is no way you can go competition on this. So in doing so, you need to justify that this item cannot be found anywhere apart from this contractor, which will give rise to that. When there is urgency, and that is the most abuse, act of God, a bridge can be washed away today. Would you want to wait to go through a tendering process to get it fixed? No. So quickly, you have to organize your engineers, and those ones you write to PPA for approval. If it is justified, they will give for you to. You don't even start, or you don't, there are times you may, depending on the severity of it, you may want to even kickstart and do it alongside. If in this world everybody knows what agency is and what an act of God is. So that also clears it. The D under section 40, where you have procured some items before, and for whatever reasons you need additional supplies. I just bought these chairs through a tender, put it that way, and the price from evaluation was good. I needed additional supplies in the shortest possible time. Same chair, same specification. I mean, common sense will tell you that, look, you just went through all this hell, so why don't you call? But in doing so, don't make sure your current order is not more than what you.
What previous?
That is where you have others also faulting. So if you want to reorder, you do that. Next, if you want to standardize some equipment, you may have only Nissan cars in your pool. You may have contract with Japan Motors, and to you it's been beneficial. Response times and whatever has been very good, and the car has served you well. You can make that justification to PPA to allow you to buy same Nissan. But this time, we also know that there are other suppliers of some of these vehicles. After your evaluation, if their after sales are good, you have every right to want to even go that way to buy, to replenish your fleet. That is one. The next that we can talk about is that there are institutions and organizations that will want to enter into research with other suppliers and contracts and to develop a product. If you decided that I wanted to do a research with company A abroad or locally, you don't go international competitive or national competitive. Straight away, you can make that justification, give the reason why you want to undergo this development and research, and I think it will qualify for sole sourcing. Last but not the least, national security. Very critical. In all this, we expect that issues of national security have some sort of wall around them. For example, we want to buy anti-hijacking equipment for our airport. Do we go putting it in the papers? You can't do that. What you have to do, and in that case, you have the professionals, your procurement professionals who go behind to negotiate, do the searches, compare and negotiate with you to actually come to a very good price for you to buy. So these conditions would give you the opportunity to go sole sourcing.
None of the conditions detailed in the law appears to be present in the procurement of the posts. But NLA chose the single source Schengen Technology Limited to supply the point of sale terminals at a cost of $878 per device. The equivalent of this amount was 4,222 Ghana cedis, 22 pesos. The total cost of the 30,000 terminals, Mr. Oseamia stated, was $26,340,000 US. Responding to Mr. Oseamia's October 25 letter, the PPA, in a letter dated 2nd November 2018, asked the NLA to negotiate a 5% reduction price. Mr. Oseamia, in another letter dated November 12, 2018, informed the PPA that they had negotiated a 2% reduction in the cost of the terminals. That would reduce the price of a device to $860, representing a $17.56 reduction. The new cost of the terminals now stood at $25,813,200, representing a reduction of $526,800 over the 30,000 terminals. Sources within the NLA say the 30,000 pieces was 3 times the number of point-of-sale terminals the board had agreed should be procured. This has been confirmed by the board. According to the document available to Joy News, the price of the product appears to have been significantly inflated. In a letter dated October 23, 2018, which was to be sent to the Director General for signing an onward transmission to the PPA, the price of the Nesgo N5 Smart POS terminal was pegged at $207 per device. According to this letter, the cost of the 30,000 Nesgo N5 POS terminals was $6,238,423. The company compared this price to the previous point-of-sale devices procured by the NLA and argued that the price of the Chinese product compares favorably with these, given the proprietary features available for the e-kiosk project and its dual functionality for both lottery operations and the VAS platform. The devices previously bought by the NLA were Ingenito, bought at $365 each, and TPS 300, which is currently being used by the NLA, bought at $440 each. These devices were procured in 2010 and 2015. A table making this price comparison was placed on the letter, obviously to convince the PPA that $207 for the Nesgo terminal was indeed cheaper, so that the request for single sourcing would be granted. However, in the letter, which eventually went to the PPA, this table was completely missing and the price changed from $207 to $878, a significant jump. By this figure, the price had shot up by $19,574,777. Joy News obtained an invoice from Shenzhen Technology in October 2019. The price range given on the invoice was $172-$260 per device, depending on the number of terminals one was buying. The specifications given mirror exactly what was offered by the NLA. According to this invoice, a buyer who is taking less than 1,000 pieces of the N5 terminals would be required to pay $260 per terminal. If the buyer was acquiring more than 10,000 pieces, however, a terminal would cost $172 per device. Therefore, since the NLA was buying 30,000 pieces, the authority should have been paying $172 per device and not $860. It should be noted that the $172 is FOB Hong Kong. Techstart Africa quoted $650 or $637 if you consider the 2% reduction in price as their FOB Hong Kong price per device. We reached out to a Nigerian businessman.
Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us on Joy News. It's been some 2 days after the sad passing of former President Jerry John Rawlings. We find ourselves in the home of Brigadier General retired Nunu Mensah. He's been gracious enough to actually, welcome us into his home today. He actually has been a two-time Chief of Defense Staff, both under former President Rawlings. So if there is one man, one of those who actually know Rawlings very well, it would be Brigadier General retired Nunu Mensah. We're going to be discoursing on Rawlings, who he was, his personality, what the fondest memories are with regard to who he was, and also other matters pertinent to the country, Ghana. Without further ado, let me say a very warm welcome to Brigadier General retired Nunu Mensah. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you very much. You are most welcome.
Great. Now, let's start with Ghana, the status quo in Ghana. Ghana then and Ghana now. What are the stark differences that you see? Because oftentimes we hear you talk about how we seem to have lost the plot. Where have we lost the plot?
Thank you very much. Let me go back to my early days in life. I'm 83 plus, so talking about early 1940s when I was growing up. Life was so leisurely. Grew up in Winneba, fishing. Life was, was good. Food everywhere. Then grew up out of fishing village. Everybody was a fisherman. went to school, somehow the first ever to go to school. Life wasn't easy, but it was beautiful. And then, of course, about 1948, 49, we had these troubles at the crossroads. Even though we didn't have much of news by way of radio and television and so on, we heard the news about Ageta being shot and killed, and a bit of rioting in Accra. Now, of course, Nkrumah came back from America in 1949, invited by, 48, by Akwaje to join the UGCC and then, join the struggle for independence. We were young, enjoying life. Everything was so beautiful. So Ghana has had a very cozy life over the period. Then, of course, the struggle for independence came. It actually intensified in the early 50s when we became leader of government business. Then by 1956, we were actually heading towards independence. Of course, Western Togo issue came up, but maybe you can come back to it later on. Ghana became independent in 1957, and everything was coasting pretty well. Nkrumah had an ambitious program to. Accra was here was all bush where we are sitting today. Accra stopped at Danko Circle, military barracks, at police headquarters. Osu was there, Labadi was there, but all here was bush and so on. But Accra has grown very rapidly over the years, and of course we became independent, and everything began to develop very quickly.
Right.
Then of course that didn't make that cozy. Suddenly, all of a sudden, in about Nkrumah had problems from the opposition, mainly with the, it was more a left of center government. NPP, then NLM, they were right of center, so this clash.
There was that friction.
That friction had been there, and this NPP friction had been now between the NPP and the NDC. But then before there was the NPP's godfathers, their predecessors, and the CPP. It continues, and Nkrumah never had an easy time. And never had an easy time at all. He was doing well. But its African policy was something that frightened the Europeans. For example, de Gaulle, president of France. Charles
de Gaulle.
They were exploding bombs in the Sahara Desert, in Algeria, and Nkrumah was opposed to all that. So he was never in the good books of the foreign powers. America, Kennedy became Eisenhower, then Kennedy, and so on. So it has been doing pretty well. But as somebody who had lived over the period, look at the past and the present. In fact, something had not gone well.
What exactly is it that hasn't gone well? When you look at the Nkrumah era and what was done, and when we get to the point where we're talking about that open letter written by Reverend Christian Andrews, we shall get into some of them, because you talk about the industry set up by Nkrumah and all of that. But what exactly is the difference comparing then and now?
One thing I've learned over the long period of my life is certain things have been the same. One thing I don't understand is that, and today it's not even Ghana alone. Look at America today. I get the impression that people take power, political power, and they behave as if the country is owned by them. We are in a democracy. But then it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people. The power rests with the people. And by voting, we give our power to whoever is elected as president or prime minister of a country. However, when people assume power, and this is sometimes I've seen over the years, including Nkrumah, the great Nkrumah.
Right.
And Nkrumah brought a law, you may have read about the law, the PDA,
right.
Preventive
Detention.
To me, it was a very bad law. A law that didn't give you the right to defend yourself.
Right.
As a bench general, you were accused of something, you were taken to someone and locked up. Right. I was, as a young officer, locked up somebody. So, and this has run throughout our history. Buza came, the Salah case, I already read about it.
Yes, I have.
5, 6 years. So that every government over the period has behaved in a way which I don't think it was very democratic. But today I'm not surprised that even in America it's happening there. There's one feature that I've seen run through our life over the period.
Let's come to Ghana.
Yes.
I know you're talking about the United States and they have their own woes, but
that's right.
Let's come to Ghana. What are you seeing here that is undemocratic, that does not fit into the fabric of what we aspired to initially as a country?
I have served many governments. I've served in the Nkrumah government. I was a young officer, so I didn't really do much in terms of having authority to do anything. But when they came after Nkrumah, for example, we had the Buza government. Then of course came the Champon government. we have had military governments almost the same period as we have had civilian government. Unfortunately, civilian governments haven't even behaved any better than military governments. We are supposed not to have democracy, but even those who are voted to power. For example, I'll give you an example of the sacking of the 5-6 states.
Yeah.
And if you come to, let's jump back and come to 1992, the Fourth Republican Constitution.
Right.
I learned long ago that in the military, we don't flirt with politics. You are a servant of the state. Whoever the political authority in the land, you take orders from them, which I understand pretty well. But today, there's no institution in Ghana which is not political, which is something which I decry. I really think it's a sad thing. There are some state institutions which should be allowed to perform for the state, and there are political institutions which we allow to perform for the government in power. But we very often confuse the two,
right?
And find that whoever is in power try to get his hand on, for that on the media. You know, a paper like Daily Graphic should be a state owned by the state.
Are you suggesting in any way that they are not, that sometimes they get carried away? Because there are even, for example, when it comes to elections, there's supposed to be, freedom, neutrality when it comes to the media and even their coverage, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and all of that. And the NPP versus the GBC is actually a case in point on that. Are you suggesting all of these are not
It's been like this for a long time, which I don't think is the right thing to do. I mean, the military, for example, should be completely out of politics.
Right.
State institutions like the news media, the GBC, for example, whoever is in power, try to get their hands and control them, which I don't think, something which I don't know why we cannot take our hands off these institutions, allow them to perform the way they have been trained to perform.
Right.
And it doesn't advance our democracy, in the right direction.
Right.
But I find this is unique to almost every government. And what is now, as I said, becoming international. So this is in human nature that when the nominee says chief of defense staff and 7 Rawlings hand over power to Leman should dismiss him because he won't be loyal to him. I don't know where this comes from, but it keeps on happening every now and then. So I don't know. I mean,
and that was your story.
Yes.
Because with the first coming of Flight Lieutenant retired Jerry John Rawlings, may his soul rest in peace, you were Chief of Defense Staff.
Yes.
And then the Liman government came, and then you lost your position. In other words, you were asked to step aside.
Yes.
And then with the second coming of former President Rawlings, you were restored to that position.
Yes.
And you're decrying that. So, for example, the IGP and others, you expect that we should have a framework to allow them to stay on. But our very constitution gives those powers to. Having encapsulated all of this, let's talk about the man Rawlings. You've experienced him probably more than most people have on a very personal level. How would you describe the late former president?
I think many people don't understand him. They don't know him. But there's a book, I don't know whether you've read this book. The book is entitled To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
By Harper Lee.
Harper Lee.
I've read so many books. I've read so many books. Harper Lee said that if you want to understand Ben, go and stand where Ben is standing. Look at things the way Ben looks at them. Go into his body and walk around it to see real Ben. You understand General Rawlings? People don't understand him.
Who was he from your understanding of him?
He was a man that believed in the African. Now they are made some kinky, may he rest in peace, which regularly. And he said, who did it, Pepe? I said, a nephew of mine. Then I rang him. Then he called the man and said, look, I am fair, but I'm buni. So Pepe, Pepe, not. That is the man, raw and original. That's the man. But many people don't understand. For example, June 4th, he took an action on May 15th. People don't understand. But if you are coming from where I am standing, and look at it, I will understand. But I've done the same thing 2 years earlier, in that champion time. And you saw it. There's something wrong with the state of things in Ghana. We didn't see, we're a bit blinded by. If you are driving Land Cruiser, you don't see that properly. If you are walking on the foot and you take your Kagari, you will see the thing he saw.
What did he see?
He saw the military getting rotten. And the pieces are written. I would have shown them that you don't have too much time. When our champion seized power 72 and brought the military into governance, it was a huge mistake. If you put a nice meat here, you have a nice cat, put it there, it was sniffing, sniffing. One day to tell whether it's good meat. Don't let them. Let's say ordinary human beings. They're disciplined, but they can lose that discipline and become ordinary. And that was a big mistake. And Rawlings saw that there was a decay set into the military, which I saw myself. Which I saw.
Did it warrant that action of taking over the state?
What he did in 15th May wasn't. See, you were not there. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. He was trying to protest, that demonstrate there's something wrong. He didn't know how to express that. Eight or nine men with him tried to take action against the government. He knew, he should have known that it won't overthrow the government. But he went ahead and did it nevertheless. He was arrested. Well, it was a treasonable offense, mutiny. And he would have been shot if the trial had been seen through. Right. But the soldiers said, the trial was open trial in Burma Hall, not far from here. And he said to the trial panel, leave those men alone. I alone am responsible for the actions. That's what the leader does. And when the soldiers heard this man is going to be shot, eventually, they won't allow that to happen. Big mutiny, a huge mutiny. Huge mutiny. I've never seen this before. Fighting all over here. And I understood. You see, you need to be seeing things from where you're seeing to understand what he did. Many don't understand Jerry Rawlings.
When you say you understand what he did, that you could see things from where he saw them, the vantage point at which he was, is that to say he was right?
No, I wasn't going to do what he did. But we have different ways of reacting to it. If there's a fire here, you will probably do something else. I will do something else.
Right.
So I wouldn't pin him down. But even on 5th, 4th of June, when he was in prison, people accused him of leading. He didn't lead the revolution. He was brought to lead the revolution. He was in prison. Right. They brought him from whatever he was, in the cells.
Yes.
And they said, be a leader. Look, if you have been pushed like that before, Ben, it's not a joke. On 31st of December, I was in my farm near Hajo. I'm a good farmer, fisherman, I do everything. Then I had my name on radio that I was called to report to Gonda Barracks by 6 o'clock. I didn't know what was going on. I had to find what the hell was going on. When I reported eventually in the evening, a soldier hit my chest with the butt of a rifle. Said, why have you come so late? Look, it's not a joke. Revolution is not a tea party, it's a serious business.
Right.
So if Rawlings did something, try and pity him a little bit. He was a young 32-year-old. How old are you, John? Ben?
I would rather not mention.
Don't mention. He was a man, 32 years, Air Force. He had no idea about what to do. Yet he was propelled into leadership position to run a country.
So maybe youthful exuberance as well, a bit of that in there.
I don't think he knew, and he was clever enough to. I was a prisoner on June 4th. But he called me, General Hamidu. I just talked to General Hamidu. I'm sure, I hope you'll be listening to us. General Hamidu, Evans Machabwachi, Dr. Joe Abbey. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
It's very quiet. I'm trying to get in touch, but I can't get hold of him. Evans Machabwachi. We were prisoners, but we were running the government on his behalf. He knew that he wasn't equipped to run Ghana. There was great confusion. How can they come to a standstill?
Well, at least we've had some leaders say, like Malema, Julius Malema, who would say that if you can't do it, you surround yourself with people who can.
Yes.
And supposedly that is what Rawlings did. So on this bit about the man Rawlings, now that he's passed, there's a lot of flowery speeches. There are a lot of them that are being delivered, and he was this and he was that. But let's delineate, candidly.
Yes.
What were the good and the bad when it comes to Rawlings?
I've spoken quite a lot about the good things Rawlings did. Unfortunately, I cannot help you too much talking about the negative side of him. And it's very simple. For a man to be 32 years old to run a country is no mean achievement. He made certain, for example, people blame him. You know why? Toward the end of his life, I was with him just before he died. He had a bit withdrawn. And he was thinking back, as if he knew his end was coming.
what he has come to do, whether he has succeeded or not. I think he was showing remorse that he had failed to achieve the objective of his 3 times attempt to make this country a better place. And I think that if Rawlings were to live today and see young people, women they see without jobs, would have known he has failed. Because, and I was trying to explain this to other people, they didn't agree with me. When, I need somebody about media. I said, Ben, come and help me. I'm not a media man. I have my expertise in the military. At the called me one day, when the avoiding crisis came, he said, Jennifer, I'm not a soldier, I don't know how to shoot. Now you are my advisor, you tell me, what should I do? To fearsome. So you want to call experts in law, in economics, and then they go and hobnob with the IMF and World Bank. And the country is in a mess. Well, you take the blame. But you should understand why you're an expert.
You're talking about structural adjustments,
yes,
the economy, the failures,
yes,
1983,
yes.
and all the problems and the Rawlings chain
yes.
and all of that.
Don't blame it on him, which is true.
But won't you blame a leader when things are not going well? When things go well, you laud them. When things don't go well, you blame them.
The leader must carry the can.
Right.
The leader must carry the can. I agree with entirely. But you should understand why he failed to achieve the objective of what they tried to do.
Why?
And I said that if you choose, some said it was naive. Of course, you must trust somebody. I don't want to mention any names here. To come and help you. I mean, if today GUM becomes, wins power. If I thought Ben was good enough to become Minister of Information, why not? And he will do that. So if whoever you call failed you, you have probably failed in your judgment of that person.
So it is not Rawlings who failed, it is those around him who failed him.
He failed. He failed, but I'm trying to explain why he failed.
Right.
No, he failed to address that issue with unemployment among the youth. It's worse today.
Right.
And I think that toward the end of his life, he used to be quite withdrawn. Thinking about this, it was as if he knew the end was near. So for choosing the wrong people, some of them, not all of them, I don't think I was the wrong person, but I left him.
Who are some of these wrong people?
I don't want to mention names here. I don't want to have any controversy.
But if you say you were, you were not one of the wrong people, then it means you know some of these wrong people.
If the economy of today, if you went with the IMF, World Bank, and we failed, whoever handled those issues at the time, they have let him down.
Have we as a country been fair to the former president?
You get two sides to the man. And you get it with everybody. Even Trump, who had lost the election, he has 72 million people voting for him. So he hasn't failed. The Democrats, the government of the majority. Doesn't mean the minority have no case, but listen to their case. So,
have we been fair to Rawlings?
You will get this reaction from various areas of, some people who hate him intensely. Those who love him will die for him. I went to Winneba. When was this? Not very long ago. He came to Winneba, and if you know Winneba quite well, at Winneba, the road goes into like Y Junction. When Nkrumah came to Winneba, 1951, in March, I was in boarding school. There's a big almond tree there, and I climbed that tree like chaos in Jerusalem when Christ came to Jerusalem. And Rawlings got there, for some reason, he got down from the car and started walking toward the town. And I remembered Nkrumah in those days, as a young boy, 13, 14-year-old. And a woman came to hold the leg and kiss his leg, an old lady.
Wow.
An old lady came from the crowd, held Rawlings' leg and kissed the leg. These are very emotional things. So don't let it vilify. Look, he's a human being, and to err is human. No one is perfect. He has his downs and his ups and so on. But let's grant him that he achieved something. And let's highlight what he achieved.
Right.
Integrity, patriotism. The man will go into gutter in Nima and clean the gutter. To tell you and I that we should be doing that.
What would be your fondest memory of him?
Eating kenke with him. I mean, we sit down. No. We just take our shirts off. No, COVID-19 or whatnot. And we enjoy and talk. We have had our bad moments. I resigned from the government.
Right.
But I didn't blame him for why I resigned. I didn't like the system. You may not like somebody, but the system today, actually, I haven't answered why I went to the GUM party and left the NDC, left the MPP. Well, I believe that they have nothing good to serve, to give to this country.
Right.
That's why I left.
Some have said that, you know, to immortalize the man Rawlings,
yes,
maybe people should vote for the NDC. Do you subscribe to that?
No. I don't want to say it. No. Look, let's have people of brains that we are developing. Even illiterates should look at their state and say, is the NDC MPP going to offer me anything?
Right.
For all this, I should go and vote for NDC. No, that makes sense. There are many things every government has. I can point out many of them. Why I don't like the NDC, why I don't like the MPP.
Right. And
if tomorrow, Reverend will not, he will not do it. I went to Rawlings with him not long ago.
Reverend Andrews.
Yeah, Reverend Andrews. Rawlings said to him, if the general has joined your party, give thanks to God.
That's what Rawlings said?
Yes. If this man has joined you, you can ask him. The Yamiasi. Oh, General Mensa. He has seen something in me. You know, there's something which he saw in me years ago, and he always talks about it. In those days, you were a major, I was a lieutenant. You saw a major run away. So just 2 ranks. The brigadier general, so a huge gap between him and me. And they feared to come close to us. He said something happened, and I spoke to him like a human being. He never forgot that. That stayed with him until his death.
As we wrap up, this will be our final bit. Now, beyond the state burial, how do we ensure that Flight Lieutenant retired Jerry John Rawlings, now deceased, is remembered in the proper way, that we immortalize him fittingly?
To me, the way to immortalize Jerry John Rawlings, the things he preached to change Ghana, the things he preached, the patriotism, the integrity of the man, the sincerity and the honesty of the man. If we can do that, we are immortalizing him, because those ideals will live long after him. That to me, they will not to build monuments that running statue here and there. If we didn't do what he said we should do, we are wasting our time.
General, it's been refreshing discoursing with you. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. And this has been our conversation with Brigadier General retired Joseph Nuno-Mensah, 2-time Chief of Defense Staff under Rawlings, also Security Advisor under the Atta Mills administration. And he has been sharing his thoughts among myriad matters on Rawlings, the former president, and statehood here in Ghana, and some matters that ought to be addressed. Thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you more when it comes to General Nuno-Mensah. He has told us that he will be granting us more interviews. Thank you for joining us. Hello, boss. Good morning. What's your from?
I'm from Waben.
Waben.
Yeah.
Pacho, then I will you
Pacho. If Daddy Kakra, no, maybe they are chop money.
Ope metal scrap no kakra. Now they are copaid your needy. Okay, now I copaid your needy. Nemo aha who store be aha. The teacher said near see and ope scrap kakra na wakoton no ape bibiedi.
Brothers no am washing.
Well, we're right outside where the fire actually broke out, where it started, and we're engaging some of the traders here. Hello, morning.
Morning.
What's your friend saying?
Your friend Mamiesi.
Mamiesi, they na we ewa hanomo.
We makeup and nails. Any acrylic bibia, ye botre, a bit on wing, a bit on tadi, bibia, I be ojomian muse.
Enti ejano to muhana saying na wo affected.
Yeah, upon a benada, coffee. It's me the whole band, I do by 1:30 near Flem say, yes, baby. It's me meshe, say what camping one. It's me by nurse, I drew yet to honor. I can't cram shop when you I can't cram drew your honor. It's me do I soon I made a mission, me near my crowd and we matches and me drew on maybe an agent natural. On what I say, our dear, and I'm a cobboy, I'm a pen of phone almost a son near my man. And I'm the beguya by a cladia, a bit of a blaze, by a clad in Yamia to be in Yakakla. It's a slam with some moye. ni yetimi nya adwuma hwe yenkwala nya saa de yetimi hwe enua bi jo me hwe nyanka me yenu eti se ma nya adwuma hwe nyanka na on be da didie eti yesra ma amomo aye.
And that is another one of those who actually perform some trading activity here. She wasn't in the main market, but actually she fixes nails, she does a lot of cosmetic work here, and this is what is left. This was what she was able to salvage, and she's actually asking for help. She says there are 2 orphans that she takes care of, and she is praying for help to be able to continue with her business. There's another lady here we're going to be speaking to. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your saying?
My friend Nanama.
Nanama. Nanka odi mfoni bi picture bi right? Was store ni ana?
Me stone. Say them about empty zero ministry. They say I'm say the ministry. Say Srega na ban say ombo ayen. Afen na yenso ya shabra bona sa ye ko. Me say me kuta nkola mienu. Me ma member omo wu agya yen na me hwe nkola no. They say me so afen when 25 years am shabra bo as me shop ni. They say am shop ya hye me ni bibia wa ha. Say akrampo bi akonwa na masra me te so am ne ba be 20 years. Srempani for say omo omo say mo obi no omo ayen na ye mobo.
And that is Nanama. She's 25, and her cosmetic shop is what you saw there. It's been burnt. Everything is gone, and she is also asking for help. Let's actually speak to our final, maybe the last person we're going to interact with here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What's your first name?
Alberta.
Alberta. Nampacho, Dana Otonwaha.
Return wigs na zip na de.
Wigs, zips, and any MLP. Now, we're shopping now inside Honomo.
Me were inside here. We're from around 11 o'clock. Say cycle shit. Into member. Me teach in the bois. Me nantia ba first light. Into tidy be me fine for me fainty or ho. La me sign. What bomb so I miss me buy. Me buy na hanon me fainty ye. What in sugu me so. Me buy hana she ye. First service cars in this is ha. I catch her and say, "A honey, she and idiot. More in Dumijano, Quaquacosa, or bien Fiobia. Nyamia do me to me, him in Yamakakra. What is so a penacram for no so? One more de quack. A hanging ash may be, what Miss Way be, baby one. What's one mamma? I need the baby back on punch. Nay, near my age, a padia, ya sure, ha? A quack. Almost many amount mean can ye almost bear 1 billion. Many be way.
What can say 1 billion? Just 100,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes, of I broker and me Brazilians. I made the best naked and best almost 100 Ghana, 100 million. Or a crown for not Tamiko. A crown for not Tamiko. She said, my miserable men and nam. Oma Tamiko. May and Namara from buying umbrella no machine. I am what say. The bank. No, obesi da ma de na yetu me yeso ya sorry na ya ba adwuma o sa na hanye ya ma me ya papa ya bibia ya ni kun we ya na ya de ya adwuma ya bibia na sisa ya adwuma ya ba ya dan ya ntu me ka se ya ko ba ahya we bi adwuma na ya ye insa ban hwe no nsi ni tantam na yeso ya mba pa adwuma na ya na ya den.
And that is the sad story. Per her account, she's lost over 100,000 Ghana cedis, 1 billion old Ghana cedis. And she sells, well, wigs, Brazilian hair, and the rest. And she is saying that everything is gone. She is also one of those who think that the fire service did not react quickly enough. In fact, one interesting analogy she makes here, she says the public washroom that is close by, nothing got burnt there. But here, where there are people's valuables, that is where, everything got burnt. And for her, that is a sad situation. She wants government to reach out, extend a hand, and help them. Hello, boss. Good morning. What's your first name?
I'm from Wabi. Yeah.
because some of my kwame me room. And the entire disaster no I see no. A hammer because me ton paboa, me kwali na me de adwuma. And I'm sika nyina ahye. Sisi a kwan kra me fa so akofie kra no. Ebe de amame. Nti yesre na na se ono de onfa ne nso no like ye nyina ye nso no gujamba nyame mboa no no nka ne ho na wonye den wontimi mboa ye kakra ono no eba ne sa ye nso ye ni beje ne ho
na se obampani waka se niema no bi niema esi ne nasefo na aban aka se ombehwe no metimi ebua ne ketu emu se den yo ombehwe no metimi ebua ye nim ahepoti omde be mma but eno wodwen ho sen
me de sane am se dwen ho se eye ba o man panyin etimi akasa se ye mehwe na ye hu yenya ye nioma asai ne yenya ye nioma enseye obi yenya kakra de start ni business a ebetima hepo kakra nti o man panyin de wakasa yi nti yesre no so se sane awasi akasa no o man nye wano man cause ye kodi esmas ye sika nyina me majam sika akra wo shop
usika be saying na usika nkasa wo shop ahye be saying
me sika be bia be 1,004
Ghana cedis
yeah 14 million because me ja wo shop ho I thought that me bosusu a ni maja kakra de ato shop ho na am de kakra hye me ekofi di sai sika ni nyina hye ani me nioma nyina me mpabo nyina hye anya me nko a ye doso nti
no ye ba ha ne union mo ebedi nkita ho nti che apart from 1,004 no nema na woton no che se utu ho bona ebe sen
ebe koso be esan ma fa biagum nti ye betima koso more be 45 or 46
as in 4,600 Ghana cedis
yes plus me 14 million
nti che se ye diboma be 6,000 Ghana cedis no ahwe no nti se sia wonyae yemfa no se aban betimi ebu akwan bi so a anhwe omo ntimi mma osika ni na puduo sa na emomo nko betimi amma obi a be sen na betimi ai na wasan etimi ejina wonan so
wo mutimi ma me be mekanisen asi awie ba yetimi ma be 20-25 kula na metimi de start kakra
2,000 na 2,500 Ghana cedis
2,000 that means old currency 20 million metimi de start kakra na within 2 years time me hu say my son abamu kakra ti yesra ban so moye.
And those are our interactions this morning as I discourse with some of those who have lost everything in the heart of Odorna, in that market. There's more that we shall be bringing you on that beat. But it's time now for some showbiz with Mapito Sibiri.